Have you ever felt, I don't know, a strange, unsettling presence, like a weight that just wasn't quite right? What if that feeling was actually a tangible, ancient force, an opposition, not just around you, but literally inside you? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Māratajjanīyasuttaṃ. It's this ancient narrative that, well, it recounts a really profound spiritual confrontation.
Yeah, and our goal here is to sort of unpack the insights from this text. We'll be exploring things like spiritual discernment, the subtle nature of temptation, definitely the power of ancient wisdom.
And consequences, right?
Absolutely. The long-reaching consequences of actions, both good and bad. It's a story that really shows how challenges can pop up in subtle ways, but also how deep awareness can overcome them.
Okay, let's get into this incredible narrative. It starts with a really personal encounter involving Āyasmā Mahāmoggallāna. So picture this. Āyasmā Mahāmoggallāna, who's, the major disciple of the Buddha, he's in this peaceful deer park, which is Abhasekalava near Samsumarajir, pretty serene setting. He's walking outdoors, and then suddenly he feels this really strange heaviness in his stomach, like he's carrying a huge weight. Now, what's significant here isn't just the feeling itself, but how Moggallāna approaches it, right? Almost like a clinician.
Exactly. He doesn't just panic or get confused. He goes straight back to his dwelling, sits down, and through this, careful inward reflection, he figures it out.
Which is?
The astonishing truth, Māra, the evil one, has actually entered his stomach, which really highlights something key, doesn't it? True discernment isn't just looking outwards, it's turning inwards to find the root cause.
And his reaction is incredibly direct, no messing around.
Not at all.
He just addresses Māra point blank, commands him to leave, says, depart, evil one. Do not harass the Tathagata or his disciples, lest it be for your long-term detriment and suffering.
A clear warning.
But Māra, he's full of arrogance, right? He thinks Moggallāna is clueless.
Oh, completely. He has this internal thought like, this ascetic doesn't recognize me.
Even his teacher, the Buddha, wouldn't spot me quickly, so how could this disciple?
Right, pure hubris. But this is where Moggallāna just blows that away.
How so?
He responds by basically reading Māra's mind. He articulates Māra's exact inner thoughts back to him, word for word.
Wow.
Then he just states it plain, you are Māra, the evil one. And Māra, presumably pretty stunned, exits Moggallāna's mouth.
Okay, so Māra's out, encounter over.
Not quite. Moggallāna still sees him. Now Māra is standing, visibly, right there at the door bolt of his dwelling.
Still there.
Still there. And Moggallāna's awareness is just unwavering. It's fascinating. He doesn't just perceive the presence, he gets the intentions, even the internal state. It's insight way beyond the ordinary.
So even after Māra's physically out, Moggallāna's still tracking him. He sees him at the door bolt. And then he drops this bombshell, right? Something connecting them across lifetimes.
Exactly. He looks right at Māra standing there and says, I see you even here, Māra. You were standing at the door bolt. And then comes the kicker.
Wow.
He says, in a past life, I was Māra Dūsī. Kat, your mother, was my sister, making you my nephew.
Wait, what? His nephew?
Yeah.
From a past life.
Yeah, so this isn't just some random confrontation. It's, like you said, a reunion stretching back ages.
That adds a whole new layer.
It really does. If you look at the bigger picture, it's like a karmic reunion.
Right.
It implies this long, complex history between them, patterns of interaction, even conflict, echoing across lifetimes. And this sets the stage for Moggallāna to explain what happened back then.
Back in that past life.
Exactly. During the time of a previous Buddha, Kakusandha, who is also fully enlightened, an arahant.
Okay, so just like our Buddha had his main disciples, Kakusandha Buddha had his two.
Precisely. Two foremost disciples, Vidhura and Sanjiva.
Vidhura. What was his specialty?
Dhamma teaching. He was apparently unparalleled. So good, in fact, that his name Vidhura actually means skillful or wise because, well, nobody else could teach the Dhamma quite like him.
Okay, renowned teacher. And Sanjiva.
Sanjiva had this incredibly meditative skill. He could easily enter what's called the cessation of perception and feeling. It's a really deep state where even subtle mental activity stops for a time. He could do this anywhere. Forest, under a tree, empty hut.
Sounds intense.
Very. And there's this amazing story about him in the text.
Oh, yeah.
So Sanjiva's deep in this state, under a tree. Some cowherds, farmers, travelers come by. They see him totally still and think he's dead.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they decide, okay, let's cremate him. They gather grass, wood, cow dung, pile on his body, light it on fire, and then just leave.
They set him on fire.
Yeah.
And left.
Yeah. But later, Sanjeeva just emerges from his meditation completely unharmed, shakes out his robes, and calmly goes for his alms round like nothing happened.
You can imagine the looks on their faces when they saw him walking around later.
Absolutely. The text says they were astonished, shouting, "This ascetic, he was dead, now he's alive." And that's apparently how he got the name Sanjeeva, which means alive again.
Wow. That certainly puts my own meditation attempts into perspective. What a story.
It really illustrates his mastery. Now, these two powerful disciples, Vidhura and Sanjeeva, they were a real problem for Dūsī, who, remember, was Moggallāna in that past life.
Right. He was Māra back then.
Yeah. And Dūsī was frustrated because it couldn't figure out their spiritual progress, their coming or going, as the text says. Couldn't get a handle on them.
So what did he do?
His first strategy, he possessed ordinary people, householders and Brahmins, and basically incited them to verbally abuse the monks. Insult them, scold them, harass them.
Tried to shake their concentration. Find an opening.
Exactly, disturb their minds. And the insults were nasty, very personal. They called the monks bald-headed ascetics, low-born, dark-skinned, kinda slaves, really trying to demean them.
And they mocked their meditation, too.
Yeah, they compared their postures to, like, an owl hunting a mouse, or a crane hunting fish, or a cat stalking prey.
Yeah.
Even a donkey just standing their burden, basically saying they just looked like they were meditating, but had selfish motives.
That's harsh. And what happened to the people doing the insulting?
Well, the text notes a grim consequence. Those people who died during that period under Mara's influence were mostly reborn in woeful states, hell realms.
Wow. So how did Kakusandha Buddha respond to this attack on his monks?
He gave them the specific practice, a countermeasure. He told them to practice and fill all directions above, below, all around, everywhere with boundless loving kindness, metta.
The Brahma-viharas.
Exactly. Loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Spread these immeasurable positive states throughout the entire world. No hostility, no ill will.
And did it work?
It did. The monks followed the instructions, dwelling in forests, under trees, meditating, and pervading the world with these qualities. Dūsī's first tactic failed.
Okay, so attack mode didn't work. What did Dūsī try next?
He adapted. Strategy number 2, he possessed people again, but this time he had them do the opposite.
The opposite, like praise them.
Exactly. Honor them, respect them, esteem them, worship them, shower the monks with veneration and flattery.
Trying a different angle to disturb their minds. Maybe puff them up with pride.
That seems to be the idea. Create an opening through attachment to praise, perhaps. Interestingly, the consequence for the public this time was also the opposite.
Let me guess. They were reborn in heaven.
Predominantly, yes. Reborn in blissful states. Which really highlights how their actions, even influenced actions, shaped their own karma, regardless of Mara's intent for the monks.
So insults failed. Flattery's the new tactic. What was Kakusandha's counter this time?
Another specific set of contemplations. He advised the monks to focus on the foulness of the body, asuha, the repulsiveness of food, to cultivate non-delight in the world, and crucially, to constantly see the impermanence of all conditioned things. Sabalokaresu anikanapasino.
Grounding them in reality, basically.
Yeah.
Against the allure of praise.
Precisely. And again, the monks followed these instructions successfully.
This is pretty remarkable. You have Māra throwing both negativity and positivity, antagonism and adulation at these monks.
And neither worked.
Neither shakes their inner foundation. It really shows that true spiritual strength isn't just about blocking the bad stuff, but also not getting carried away by the good stuff, the external validation.
Well put. Their internal stability held firm regardless of the outer climate. But Dūsī Māra wasn't done yet. He escalates.
How?
It moves from indirect influence to direct assault. One morning, Kakusandha Buddha is out on his alms round. Vidhura, the great teacher, is his attendant walking behind him.
Okay.
Dūsī directly intervenes. He possesses a young boy. And this boy picks up a stone and strikes Vidhura on the head, hard enough to split it open.
Oh my gosh. A direct physical attack on a chief disciple.
Yes. And Vidhura, even with blood streaming down his head, he just keeps walking steadily behind Kakusandha Buddha, completely steadfast.
Incredible composure. But surely the Buddha reacts.
Oh, he does. This was the line crossed. Kakusandha Buddha turns and looks back at where the attack came from, implicitly at Dūsī's influence, with what the text calls a nagapalokita, like a powerful serpentine gaze or an elephant's look.
A powerful gaze.
A gaze that basically says, "You've gone too far." And the text states that instantly, just from that look, Dūsī Māra vanished from that spot and was reborn immediately in the great hell, the Mahaniraya.
Just like that. From a look.
From that powerful indication that his actions had crossed a critical threshold. The karmic weight was immediate and severe.
And Moggallāna, recalling this, actually describes the hell Dūsī experience.
Yes, vividly. As Dūsī himself experienced it, it had names suggesting intense sensory suffering, being pierced by stakes, and pain that was deeply personal.
Stakes.
Iron stakes, yes. The Hellkeepers apparently told Dūsī, when stake meets stake in your heart, you'll know you've been suffering here for 1,000 years.
1,000 years. Just for one section.
He recounts burning there for many years, many hundreds of years, many thousands of years, specifically 10,000 years in the main part, then more suffering in the fringes. And his form was distorted a man's body, but the head of a fish.
That is incredibly graphic, and really underscores the perceived severity of attacking someone highly realized or obstructing the path.
Absolutely. Within this framework, it shows that certain actions have, well, immediate and profound consequences that echo across immense timescales. It's a stark warning about the gravity of harming the enlightened or their path.
So Moggallāna recounts all this history, his own past suffering, as Māra Dūsī to the current Māra standing at his doorbolt.
Correct. He even recites verses confirming the torment, the 100 iron stakes, all personally experienced. It's a direct laying out of the past consequences. But then he shifts gears slightly.
How so?
He starts asserting the power and attainment of a Buddha's disciples, implicitly including himself, warning the current Māra about what he's up against now.
Showing him the futility of messing with the Sangha. What examples does he give?
Some pretty impressive ones. He mentions one disciple shaking a massive palace, Migaramata's palace, just with his big toe.
His toe.
Yeah. Another shook the Vajrayanta palace, which is the home of Saka, the king of the gods, again with his big toe, apparently inspiring the deities there.
Okay, so displays of psychic power, maybe?
Possibly, or symbolic of their spiritual weight. But he also gives examples of wisdom. One disciple questions Saka himself about how to get free from craving, and Saka gives the right answer.
So interacting with gods, testing their understanding.
Exactly. And perhaps the most striking, one disciple directly challenges Brahma, a very high deity often seen as eternal, about his view of permanence.
Wow.
Brahma himself, questioned by this disciple, admits his previous view was wrong. He acknowledges the impermanence even within the Brahma realms.
So these disciples have the wisdom to correct even the highest god's views. That's quite a statement of capability.
It really is. It establishes the depth of realization found among the Buddha's followers. And Moggallāna uses this to frame his final warning to Māra.
What's the final punchline?
He uses a powerful analogy, delivered poetically. Just as a fool approaching a burning fire burns himself, so too, Māra, by assailing the Tathagata, the Buddha, you will burn yourself.
Oof. Attacking wisdom is self-destructive.
That's the core message. He tells Māra flat out, you've accumulated bad karma, demerit, by doing this. This evil deed is going to ripen, and it will bring suffering for a very, very long time.
And the final command.
Despair, Māra, of the Buddha, and do not make trouble for the monks. Essentially, give up, stop harassing us, you're only hurting yourself.
This is really interesting here. The idea that fighting against true wisdom isn't really a fight against someone else. It's like punching a wall. You're the one who gets hurt. The real power isn't aggression, it's understanding, it's liberation.
Yeah, exactly. And faced with this history, this wisdom, this direct confrontation outlining the inescapable consequences, Māra's response.
He vanishes.
He vanishes, completely disheartened, the text says, utterly defeated by Moggallāna's insight and the weight of his own past actions laid bare.
Wow. We've really gone on quite a journey there, deep into the Māratajjanīyasuttaṃ, witnessing this incredible layered confrontation. Moggallāna versus Māra, uncovering past lives, the spiritual defense strategies, and the sheer weight of karmic consequences.
It's such a rich text,
Yeah.
and it powerfully illustrates how crucial discernment is, spotting challenges, whether they come disguised as insults or even as praise.
Right, whether they're subtle or overt.
Exactly, and it shows that real spiritual strength, well, it doesn't seem to lie in fighting back in kind. It's in cultivating those positive qualities, loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, and crucially, developing a clear understanding of reality.
Impermanence, suffering, the path out.
That clear seeing seems to be the ultimate defense.
And the whole story just hammers home that karmic principle, doesn't it? That our actions, especially the ones related to our spiritual path and how we treat others on theirs, they have deep echoes. They really do shape our future.
Definitely. Which brings us to a thought to leave you with. Consider your own Māras. Those internal voices may be doubt, distraction, temptation, Or maybe external obstacles, difficult people, challenging situations.
Yeah.
How might those be maybe inadvertently shaping your own long-term path? And what if, as the Sutta suggests, confronting them with wisdom, with clear seeing, and those positive qualities, rather than just, say, brute force or anger, is actually the ultimate act of self-preservation and maybe liberation?